Welcome to the deep dive. So you shared some really interesting research with me earlier about self-regulation, specifically in young Chinese children. And that's what we're tackling today. We're
Mhm.
diving into, well, it's quite a big piece of work, a meta-analysis, right? Which pulled together 57 different studies.
That's right, 57 studies covering over 15,000 kids, ages 3 to 8.
Wow, okay. And the idea is to get a handle on the links between how these kids manage their behavior, their thinking, their emotions, and how that connects to school stuff, math, language, and their social skills too.
Exactly. And a meta-analysis is great for this because it gives us that bigger picture, smoothing out maybe the differences between individual studies.
Consider this the shortcut then, trying to
Mhm.
pull out the key insights from all that research. And you mentioned there were some, well, surprising findings.
Definitely, especially when you look at how things were measured. But yeah, the core idea is that self-regulation isn't just one simple thing, as the researchers themselves point out. It's complex.
Okay, so let's unpack that complexity. Self-regulation. What are you actually talking about here? What are the main pieces?
Well, the meta-analysis really focused on three core aspects. First, there's behavioral self-regulation.
Okay, like controlling actions,
Yeah,
impulse control.
precisely. Can they stop themselves from doing something they shouldn't? Then you've got cognitive self-regulation.
That sounds more like thinking skills.
Yeah, things like planning ahead, holding information in your mind, working memory, we call it, and crucially, paying attention, focus.
Got it. And the third?
Emotional self-regulation, so how well they understand and manage their feelings, sadness, anger, frustration, that kind of thing.
Right. Three distinct areas. So let's connect these to academics first. Math, language, literacy. What did this huge analysis find about behavioral self-regulation and school stuff?
Well, they found a pretty significant link. Children who were better at managing their behavior, controlling those impulses, they generally did better in math, language, and literacy.
That kind of makes intuitive sense, doesn't it? If you can sit still and listen during story time.
Exactly. Or follow the steps for a math problem without getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Think about it. If a child can resist shouting out, they're more likely to actually hear and process the teacher's instructions for, say, phonics.
Right. Or stick with a tricky math task instead of just, giving up impulsively.
Precisely. It suggests that being able to inhibit those immediate reactions frees up the mental space needed for learning. It's a key connection.
Okay, so what about the cognitive side? Planning, working memory, attention.
Yeah.
How do those link up with academics?
Also a significant link found there. Across math, language, and literacy again, these cognitive skills are really like the engine driving a lot of learning.
Do you give an example, like in a classroom setting?
Sure, take a math word problem. A child needs to hold the different parts of the problem in their working memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they need to figure out the steps that's planning and stay focused on it, even if there are distractions.
Okay, and for language or reading?
Equally important. Understanding a complicated sentence means you have to hold the beginning of the sentence in mind while you read the end.
Right, right.
And just sustained attention, focusing long enough to read a passage or write something coherent, that's pure cognitive self-regulation.
Okay, that makes sense. Now the third one, emotional self-regulation. Managing feelings. How does that connect to doing well in math or reading? It feels maybe less direct.
It does feel less direct, and the study did find a relationship, but the strength of that link might be a bit different compared to the behavioral and cognitive sides,
Okay.
but it's definitely still important. Think about how managing emotions supports learning, even if indirectly.
How so? Give me an example.
Well, imagine a kid gets really frustrated with a tough math problem. Just can't get it.
Yeah, happens all the time.
If they have decent emotional regulation, they might be able to calm themselves down, maybe ask for help, or just persist a bit longer.
Instead of just throwing the pencil down and giving up.
Exactly. Or think about reading aloud. That can be stressful for some kids. Better emotional regulation might help them manage that anxiety so they can actually focus on the reading itself. It builds resilience for learning.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Now, you hinted earlier something about how self-regulation was measured making a difference. That sounds intriguing.
Ah, yes. This was one of the really key findings, I think. The way researchers assessed self-regulation in these 57 studies, it significantly moderated the results. It changed how strong the links looked.
Change them how?
Specifically, When self-regulation was measured using parent reports, questionnaires asking parents about their child's behavior, those measures consistently showed smaller effect sizes.
Smaller. So the link looked weaker when parents were the ones reporting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Compared to other methods used in the studies, like maybe direct observation by researchers or teacher reports, perhaps.
That is surprising. Why would that be? Why would parent views show a weaker connection to, say, academic skills?
Well, there could be a few reasons. Parents see their kids in certain contexts, mostly home, right? Not necessarily the same pressures or situations as school.
Yeah.
They might also just have, natural biases. Or maybe their expectations influence how they rate their child. Teachers, on the other hand, see the child dealing with academic tasks day in, day out.
So teacher reports or direct observations might be capturing something more closely related to the actual school performance.
Potentially, yes. It's a really important methodological point. The how of measuring matters a lot.
Definitely something to keep in mind.
Okay.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly to social competence, getting along with others. How do behavioral, cognitive, and emotional self-regulation fit in there?
Well, the meta-analysis found that all three are related to social skills: behavioral, cognitive, and emotional.
All three. Okay.
Yep. Suggests that controlling your actions, thinking flexibly about social situations, and managing your feelings are all pretty crucial for navigating the social world as a young child.
Can you break that down, examples for each?
Sure, behavioral is maybe the most obvious things, like taking turns in a game.
Right, not grabbing.
Exactly, waiting your turn to speak. Basic impulse control in a social setting. Cognitive self-regulation helps with understanding social cues.
Like figuring out how someone else is feeling.
Yeah, or recognizing that another kid looks left out, and then maybe shifting your own plan or activity to include them. That takes cognitive flexibility.
Makes sense. And emotional.
Vital for handling conflicts. If a child gets angry during a disagreement, can they manage that anger enough to try and solve the problem, or do they just lash out? Emotional regulation is key there.
So all three are definitely weaving together for social success. And did the measurement issue pop up here too? Did parent reports show weaker links for social skills as well?
Yes, same pattern. The way self-regulation was assessed moderated the link with social competence too. Again, parent reports tended to yield those smaller effect sizes compared to other methods.
Wow, that's consistent then.
It really highlights, how crucial it is to think about who is doing the assessing and how, when we look at this kind of research, or even when we're just, observing kids ourselves, does one viewpoint give the whole story? Probably not.
That's a great point to ponder. So if we try to boil this down, what are the main headlines from this deep dive? The big takeaways?
I'd say two main things stand out. First, it strongly reinforces that self-regulation isn't just one thing. It's got these different parts: behavioral, cognitive, emotional, multidimensional, as researchers say.
Okay, not just good control or bad control. It's more specific.
Exactly. And second, these different parts relate differently to outcomes. Behavioral and cognitive seem especially tied to academics.
Right, we saw that.
Whereas for social skills, it looks like all three aspects are contributing, maybe in different ways or degrees, but they all matter. That's the differential relations idea. It's nuanced.
And the study abstract mentioned digging into the why, the mechanisms, and also stress the measurement importance again.
Yeah, the abstract points out that understanding how self-regulation actually leads to better outcomes is still a big question for research. What are the exact pathways?
We need more digging there.
Definitely. And as we've really hammered home, how you measure self-regulation can seriously color the picture you get. It matters for research and probably for practice too.
Okay, so wrapping up for everyone listening, this big meta-analysis on young Chinese kids really shows self-regulation is multifaceted. Managing behavior and thinking seems super important for school learning, math, language, literacy. But managing behavior, thinking, and feelings all chip in for getting along socially.
That sums it up well.
And the big surprise, maybe, is that how we measure these skills, especially parent reports versus other methods, seems to really change how strong those connections look.
A crucial finding. It really gives a clearer, though maybe more complex picture of early development.
Absolutely. Which leads to a final thought, maybe. Building on that measurement point, if different ways of assessing give different results, how should you, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or just interested, how should you best think about and observe these self-regulation skills in action? Does one perspective ever really capture it all?
A really interesting question to chew on.
It definitely shows there's always more to learn about how kids grow. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.